everyone, it's Chris from ratracerebellion.com. Today I want to show you a scam in progress, and this is one of the dirtiest types of work from home scams that are out there. It is a reshipping scam, and if you've watched some of my previous scam videos, you may be familiar with how those work. But it's very rare to be able to catch these early enough so that you can actually see the websites while they're still up and see the job offer that they have listed on their site. But even more so, fortunately, I have a victim of this scam who shared with me access to their back panel. So I'm able to show you what the victims of this scam, or at least one layer of victims in this scam, are looking at and why it's so easy for them to be convinced that this is a real work from home job. Before I dive into that, let me just remind you that we post scam busting videos on a regular basis. We also post a lot of information about how to find legitimate remote work from home jobs. If you like that kind of content, take a moment now to click on that subscribe button. And when you do that, make sure you click the little bell for notifications. That way, every time we load new content, you'll receive a notification and you'll never miss a thing. So that being said, I'm going to dive right in and show you what this looks like from the first step. There are actually two websites behind this scam. This is the first one. It goes to Vertron Group. Not sure I'm pronouncing it right. Doesn't matter. Not a real company, but Vertron Group. And you can see they've put together a pretty sophisticated looking website for a shipping company. I mean, they're showing the shipping containers here going down the highway, all of these different shipping companies that they work with, lots of information about shipping with them, processing claims, everything you really would think that you were going to see on a legitimate website. 325,000 active customers, 640,000 ongoing projects, over 200 daily orders, 100 plus pricing options, and then what we're looking for, their career link. And they only have one job opening, and this is not a real job, and it can get you into so much trouble. In this case, they're calling this position a package inspector position. And essentially what this involves is receiving packages from this company or shipped directly to you, and you're going to go through these packages and make sure that everything is in there that's supposed to be in there. And essentially there are a few steps you have to go through. You have to take pictures of the material, get everything packaged back up again, and reship it to an address that they have instructed you to. All right, so it's much more complex than that, but it puts everything into a nutshell for you. Now, I want to take this URL and I want to show you something. Now, this is a company that appears to be very well established. I'm going to head over to a website called whois.com. And not using this field, but using this one right here at the top, enter domain, I'm going to paste that URL in there and look at the who is. This is what I wanted to see. This domain was actually purchased. So this domain, this .com, was purchased on November 15th, 2023. And you can be quite sure that it was purchased expressly for the purpose of creating this website to make people think that they are a solid, long-standing, well-established company. This one actually was purchased in Reykjavik, Iceland, through a domain company there. It doesn't mean that that's where the scammers are. It's just that they just purchased it through that organization. Now, let me show you the second site. This one is shoppingtruth.org. This one's been around for a little bit longer. I'm going to pop back over to who is, and I'm going to stick that one in there. They've been around since September of 2023. So this is what scammers do. They'll purchase a number of different domains so that they can change horses quickly and easily. So when somebody starts to say this one is a scam, they can run it down, shut it off, and then open up under a different domain. And sometimes they'll run them simultaneously. So this one obviously hasn't been around for that long either. All right. So yeah, that's just to give you some background. I always, whenever something looks a little suspicious, I always head right over to whois.com because I want to know how long has this domain been in play. Not very long like this when they're pretending to be a well-established company. And let's take a quick look at this shoppingtruth.org site where, again, they have this setup. It looks to be a sophisticated company. And they're claiming to go back to 2018. All right. But again, let's take a look at what their careers have to say. And here they have just the one job opening, just like the other one. And this is to be a quality auditor. And the auditor is essentially going to receive packages, look at the content, and reship that content. So the person who believes that they're working from home is signing on to receive packages at their home. So you get this job. And it's exciting because they're going to pay you well. They're going to cover all the shipping costs, and they actually do. You don't actually have to pay out of pocket and hope to be reimbursed. The scammer is going to pay to get packages shipped, and with a very good reason. They want those packages shipped, and they want them shipped quickly. There's a lot of pressure for a quick turnaround with these guys, and that's because there's a short window of opportunity. They are not going to pay you for this work. They'll tell you that you're going to get paid monthly, and they'll use you for that month, and you will never get a penny from them, okay? That's the small part of the scam. Believe it or not, your unpaid work is the one piece that's going to hurt the least, all right? That's because the rest of it can get you in trouble with the law. It could land you in jail. You could end up with police officers with a search warrant knocking on your front door for something you didn't even realize you were doing. So let's dig in a little bit deeper as to exactly what I mean by that. To do that, I'm going to show you the interface that I have access to now, thanks to this one individual who reported it to us, thinking that she had a real job and asking us if we thought that it was a scam. Absolutely a scam. So first of all, these are the instructions. So when you land this job as an inspector or a quality assurance person, this is what they're telling you to do. First of all, you're going to be tracking the packages to make sure that you're aware of when they're coming and that you will be available to get the packages when they arrive, because they want this stuff to happen very quickly. All right. And then you're going to look at the recipient's name, and you'll see it will say some packages will be sent in your name, but in some cases, ordering goods is possible only with the name of the customer. Therefore, you may have the right to receive packages sent to any name. Why do they do this? Because sometimes these scammers are using somebody else's account. So, if you have a Verizon phone carrier, for example, and these scammers have managed to breach your account so that they can order new phones, they can order new whatever, and under your name, then Verizon is only going to ship to the name of the person on the account. So when you receive packages that are in somebody else's name, it's because that is the name of the individual whose account has been breached by the scammers, okay? They are also a victim of this scam, but we'll circle back to that in just a little bit. So anyway, they're telling them, basically don't be alarmed if you receive a package to your address that doesn't have your name. All right, and then when you receive the package, you're going to confirm delivery. You're going to take a photo of the shipping box with the label. You're going to do a general photo of the contents inside of the shipping box, a photo of the invoice, if it's available, a photo of the product box, so that the model is clearly visible, a photo of the UPC barcodes on the product box, and damaged parts of the product box. So if there's any damage, you're going to take a picture of that as well. And then there's a comment section. So in the comment of the package, indicate the following: the number of boxes received for the tracking number, the general condition of the packaging and contents, the number of items in the box, and the weight of the box with the goods in it. All right. And then you're going to log into the interface and I'm going to show you that in just a minute, and print out the shipping label. All right. And it's going to basically tell you about shipping everything. You're going to print out a receipt to confirm the shipping. You're going to package everything back up, and in some cases, you're going to be putting items from multiple shipments into a single box. All right. And it says if the package does not have a tracking number or cannot be tracked, you have to wait for it and receive it. So in some cases, apparently, you're not going to have that information. If you receive an unknown package, it has information about that. And then they're talking about the extra bonuses. All right. So they're going to give you bonuses if you file a quick report, if you get the sending out quickly, all kinds of different things. And then they have a penalty system, because they want to disincentivize you from being too slow. They want to make sure that you get these packages, you turn them around quickly, you take great pictures, and you get everything back out the door and shipping off to the next location. Now, before hopping to the next screen, let me explain how this scam works, because you need that information to understand how each component of the next screen comes into play. So essentially, there are scammers overseas who steal people's information, whether it's their credit card information or they gain access to an account that you have with the Apple Store or with Verizon or T-Mobile. Maybe you shop at REI or Cabela's, or maybe you have an account with a store along those lines as well. Whatever it is, they get that information and they breach that account. And with those stolen credit cards and that account information, they start making purchases. All right. And in some cases, it's getting in touch with your cell phone carrier and saying that you're upgrading your equipment and you need to have the new phone sent to. And they give them an address that's other than what's on the account. But because they've logged into the account to do that, it appears that it's going to maybe somebody who's on vacation, or they're having the phone sent as a gift, whatever it happens to be. So these folks are making fraudulent charges. They're basically stealing from the people whose information they've stolen. And now those stolen goods are being shipped to you, to the home-based worker who thinks that they're working as a package inspector or a quality auditor. So your home address gets to be ground zero as these people start to realize that their credit cards were stolen, or they realize that something's been taken from their account and packages were being shipped. They contact the companies, and the companies start doing their homework and say, okay, yep, we can see exactly where that package was sent to. And that's you. So now, if you've sent out 12 packages for these people, you've sent 12, you now have stolen goods, you've processed stolen goods, and all indicators are that you are a thief, that you are the mastermind behind all of this. So when the crap hits the fan, the police will end up at your door, because you are ground zero. You are the one who, in their minds, placed these orders and received these stolen goods. I've spoken with people who have had this happen to them, and they've had the police show up at their house with a search warrant and gone through their house looking for the items that are on this list of stolen goods. So that's the first part of the scam. The second part of the scam is when you're being asked to repackage and resend these items, sometimes they're going to a location that's going to put these items onto a shipping container to be sent overseas. And sometimes they're going to another person in the US who thinks that they're receiving another item like you. They think they're doing the same job as you, except this time you're the shipper. So you've got a package, let's say it's coming in from Apple. You're working at home, you log this in, you print out the shipping label, you resend it, and you're resending it to somebody who thinks they're doing the same thing as you. So they get it, they log it in, they print out a shipping label, and then they send it to the next location. And a lot of times this is done based on the value of the product in the box. Sometimes the more valuable it is, or the more quickly they think they're going to be able to get it traced, they'll have you send it to it'll be sent to multiple locations before actually getting to the end game. And the end game is always getting it to a location where it's going to be repackaged, put into a shipping container that will end up on a boat that goes overseas to its final location, to the final destination where it's received by the scammers or another person in the middle who ultimately will get it to the scammers. So this is all just this big, ugly circle. And it's basically leaving a trail for the authorities to follow. And by the time they get to that last location, they will have had to check with one person, two people, three people, every time, thinking that they've found the mastermind. And when they get to that last location, it's oftentimes too late. The items have already been shipped overseas, and it's so hard to track them once they've left port. So hopefully that makes sense to you. I'm going to include a link in the description below that gives you sort of a rundown of how it works in a more concise manner. But I wanted to tell you all about how it works before taking you over to their interface, which again, as I said, looks pretty sophisticated. So the individual who sent this over to me is still active on this account. Hopefully she's not anymore. Hopefully she took my words of warning, and I believe she probably did. And I'm going to go ahead and block out any identifying information here. So let's take a look at the types of items that this person was receiving and reshipping, just so you can sort of wrap your mind around what kind of stuff is going into those shipping containers. So we see here, this would have been, these are in reverse chronological order. So the most recent item that she received was this 13-inch MacBook Air, and actually had to go pick this up at a nearby Apple store. And what they did is they provide her with a QR code to show that you are the person who made the purchase. So the scammers make this purchase using somebody's stolen credit card or having breached somebody's Apple account. And then they send to her that QR code that she just has to scan when she goes to do the pickup. Same thing with this iPhone 14. That's also a QR code pickup at a nearby location. And then there are these three items that sort of go together. There are two hummingbird fish finders and one rifle scope. And I just ran a quick check on these, just using the numbers that are here. And these were all purchased through Amazon accounts. And given the fact that somebody else's name appears in this column as the name on the package, to me that indicates that these individuals had their Amazon accounts breached, and these purchases were made against those accounts. And they probably have credit card information stored on those accounts, which means that their credit cards will get hit with those bills. So we've got that hummingbird. Let me just take a look here at what sort of things they have. Here's the rifle scope, which is almost a $700 rifle scope. And then they have the 2 fish finders, one of which is an almost $1,200 fish finder, and another one that's about $550. So these are not low dollar ticket items. All right, and then we also have this purchase of gold bars in various denominations. They have a 5 gram, a 2.5 gram, and a 1 gram gold bar. And again, I did a search for those, and here's the 5 gram. And I'm sure that it's selling for whatever the going rate is on that particular day. So I don't know what the value was at that time. But this is not cheap stuff. It's not cheap stuff. All right. And again, that one came through with somebody else's name, as did the gold necklace. That was somebody else's name as well. So yeah, lots of funny business going on here. And then I wanted to check and see, where are these packages being reshipped to? Where did they ask this person who thinks they're working from home to resend these packages to? And this can be very telling. I'm going to take a look at that MacBook first. All right, and that's going to this address in Wilmington, Delaware. You're going to see Wilmington, Delaware come up again in this search. But what's kind of interesting is when I did a search online for this location, it takes me to a commercial property that appears to be a storage facility that has been for quite some time in the crosshairs of people who are saying that there have been a lot of scams happening out of there. A lot of eBay sellers apparently have been asked to send items to that location only to find out that it's a scam. All right, so that's one of the locations. And it's not at all unusual for these guys to set up shop in one of these kinds of places. They use it as a landing place, a place where they can take receipt of all of the items that are being shipped to them, and they can get them into a shipping container, get them packaged up to go overseas, as I had mentioned earlier. So that's one of the ones that we have on our radar as being involved. That location is directly involved. And then let's see where this one is going to. All right. I think if you start to look at these last names, look at this one. We're starting to see that there are some nationality similarities between these names that are coming up. These are definitely Eastern Bloc, Eastern European, Ukraine, Russia, that sort of neighborhood. All right, we can see that there are some similarities there. And again, when we look for the address on that label, that one's taking us to a Port Reading, New Jersey address. And we see the Meest group, M-E-E-S-T group at that location. Keep that in mind, okay? We're going to store that one away while we look at some of these others. The next package is going to this address in Brooklyn, New York. And again, look at the name on the package, all right? And then look at this 1923 McDonald Avenue. And what we have is basically a postal drop-off, Postman Joe. So not an actual address for the recipient. They just have packages coming here that they're picking up. All right, let's see what's next. Okay, so all of these items that have to do with the fish finders and the rifle scope are all going to that Brooklyn, New York address. And so let's check this one. And this one is going to a different name, but to that same Brooklyn, New York address. All right, and then we have this jewelry shipment going to this address at 3601 Old Capitol Trail in Wilmington, Delaware again. And then when I take a look at that, Bear with me here for a minute. This kind of gets interesting because here we see that this address is associated with Meest Group. Do you remember that? Does that ring a bell? That showed up on, I believe it was not that one, this one. At the 600 Markley in Port Reading, New Jersey, you see that Meest truck in the picture outside? Well, apparently these are connected to each other because here we have Meest. And if I pull up that website, we'll see that they made an announcement that they have relocated their warehouse to this 3601 Trail A7 in Wilmington. But what I want to do is I'm going to scroll this up so you can see. I'm going to grab that meest.com. I'm going to go back to Whois. We're going to do a Whois search on this, whois.com. We're going to drop Meest in there. And do you see where it's located? This domain was secured. They've been around for a while. It's secured in Ukraine. Now, I'm not saying that Meest is knowingly shipping stolen goods, but they appear to be a shipping company that is based in Ukraine. And these packages ultimately seem to be ending up at a Meest location, which is very likely where they're being put into shipping containers and sent overseas. If we take a look at the Meest site and the services that they offer, they have, I'm hoping that that will pull up, but they have international shipping from Ukraine to US, parcel from Ukraine with post, buy from US stores, fulfillment in the US, and then they do commercial cargo. Okay. And that means ultimately putting things onto ships like this and sending them overseas. All right, so it looks like we figured out how these containers are getting from the U.S. to their final destination, which appears to be Ukraine, which, given the names on a lot of those shipping labels, is not at all surprising. So that gives you sort of a glimpse at the seedy underbelly of what a reshipping scam looks like in progress. Now, we've gone ahead and recorded everything here, and we're going to make sure that we get it into the hands of the proper authorities, because with these addresses, they may be able to catch this. If not on this cycle, then maybe on the next cycle. We have some good names for them to work with. I will definitely be reaching out to the woman who contacted us, as I see she had contact with these folks as recently as 10 days ago. But I don't see any new activity after she contacted us on January 12th of 2024. So hopefully she's cut off all ties. But I definitely want to contact her and let her know what we have found out. That's it. Be so careful. This is a hard one for people who are getting that job offer to find the dirty side of. They genuinely think that they are working a legitimate work from home job. The pay is good. And when they look at the websites, they look professional. And then they have that interface where they're communicating with them, where they're uploading information, and the mailing labels are paid for. Everything seems to indicate that it's a legitimate job. But at the end of the day, it is one that could quite possibly land them in jail. Because again, remember, everything points back to that individual who is receiving the stolen goods at their house. These scammers have done a very good job of making sure that the spotlight is on anybody but them. And that can spell big trouble for a person who just thought that they were working in a real job. Now, I'm going to, in the description, I'm going to put a link to a post that we have about this type of scam on the ratracerebellion.com website that gives you some instructions on what to do if you've fallen victim. And as far as level of victim, the victim who believes that they're working from home and has been receiving and shipping stolen goods, because there are some things that you need to do, frankly, to cover your ass and protect yourself, and to prove to the authorities when they show up on your doorstep, as they're very likely to, and prove to them that you were caught up in a scam. So make sure that if you are a victim, that you hop over to that post and read our advice on what to do going forward to make sure that you don't end up behind bars while the scammers make off with the stolen goods. Leave your comments, questions below in the comments section. We do read those and we respond regularly. If you're looking for legitimate remote work, then I encourage you to pop over to the ratracerebellion.com site. We post screened, curated remote jobs every day, Monday through Friday. We have an online course that's free that will help you learn how to spot scams and find legitimate jobs. We really do have your back. So use the resources that we make available to you. Be so careful out there. Have a great day. Bye-bye.